What's up, everybody? It's your boy TKO, Todd Kanakoa, and welcome back to the Consecrate podcast. And I've had a lot of guys that I've interviewed since I started this podcast, but I can honestly say that my guest tonight plays a significant role in my personal journey in my life. And so my guest tonight, his name's Dan. His story is one of just, and I'll let him explain it. I don't really need an introduction. So why don't we just get into it? Just name where you're from and kind of just where everything all started for you.
This is DC. I'm from Vancouver, Washington. This is Pacific Northwest. One of those other reckless young boys getting off way too early.
Yeah. So growing up, did you have this single parent household? Or were both your parents together? How was childhood growing up for you?
Yeah, that was single parent. I lost my dad when I was a young boy.
What
Heroin addict. That was a situation. That was Christmas Eve of, don't give me the line, between 7 and 9. You know what it is when you're a young person. Times and dates and tragedies kind of smashed together. So that's what that was. But yeah. Christmas morning was when we found that out.
Wow. I think we've talked a little bit about this before, and that's so much. When I think about like my own children, that's like so much for a young child to have to go through.
Yeah, it's huge.
And so I can't even imagine what that would be like. What, if you don't mind me asking, like what were some of how were you able to process that early on, or how did that manifest itself over the next couple years for you?
I don't think there is a process. And like I've shared with you in the past, when it comes to something like that, every person's different. So in my household, you have a young girl and a little boy and a single mom. Everyone's going to process those things different. So to give an example, mom went hard, young boy went internal, and the little girl lashed out.
Did you?
That's a something that transpired over into adulthood for everybody. That's natural.
Yeah.
Trauma is not a short term thing. It's not a right now thing. It's not like we can get over that or anything of the sort. It's something you're dealt, something you deal with. And based on the way that you deal with it, there's consequences and growth that has to happen in between all that.
Yeah. So so after that, you said did your mom get into, like, was she started to drink, or did she, like, how did she handle, being the responsible person for raising you guys? And I'm sure that played a part into it, like how she responded to that trauma.
My mom's a gangster, dude. She got away from that before it got to that. So she was already doing mom shit on a, you know, barely nothing budget. You know what I mean? And
Shout outs to mom.
yeah, for sure.
And your mom still, she lives locally, or she's still in the picture?
Bro, I'm 48 years old and she's still wiping my ass like a baby right now. Mom's a G.
All
That's
right.
a fact. That's a reference to still having to wipe diapers for an adult. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is naturally what a parent does as soon as you show up at their house to pick up your child or just go hang out. You could say, how's the weather today? I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, what you need to be doing is, I'm like, oh, yeah, naturally. You're going to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with myself when I didn't even ask. That's a mom. That's a real mom. You know what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's a G, but she dealt with that trauma by dipping out, and naturally that results in kids, the whole fend for yourself thing periodically or short term. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Like, not to make it about me or anything, but I think for me, just living in a household where I didn't feel safe or wanted, and me looking outside at whatever else was out there, where and it's not like I felt any more safer, out there in the streets, but like, so in your situation, so you're 9, 10, 11, 12. When did Dan first start getting in the mix, for example? Like, what did that transmute into after that traumatic experience early on in life?
I could say so. When the whole death thing happened, that's what it was. This is fourth and fifth grade. Now we're transitioning from moving from Oregon to Washington because, like I said, my mom, she's a G, and she's like, we got to go. Moved away from everybody, the whole family, closer to her work. She was working up here in Washington, And now, as a young boy who's just been all that in the gut, so I'd say fifth and sixth grade, seventh grade. Here we go. No,
You're
no, 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 like extremely bad influences or anything myself. Like I said, or like we were talking prior, it's at that moment when you've had something that's, I don't even know how to put it to make any sense. But to me, it would be like this. If in your chest and your heart, you've already got a series of events that have happened to your life as a young person, and you've already developed a situation where, like, it's a good idea not to get attached to anything because it ain't gonna last. When the most important things in your life ain't lasting, it's
yeah.
not real, and everything's dying and kind of scary. So, as a kid, that's where I could say it would start, where the disconnect between me and what's really important as far as kid development, everything else that's going on. Nah, I'm like, I'm out. So never had a problem attaching to anybody as far as my childhood concerned, but mentality wise, it makes it really easy to not give a with what you're getting into because it don't really last anyways. So it's like, you know what I mean? An appreciation for life or death, long story short, makes it real easy to shoot at one. It's like, it don't really matter.
Well, let's jump into that then. So,
Yeah.
because that's a pretty extreme thing to just jump right into. Because usually how I look at things when people catch big cases, for example, or have a big event in their life, usually it's the small things that add up, and then you have this really big moment, right? But for you, and this kind of ties into how I met you. At what age is this the first time you've been in trouble, or did you have some?
No, no.
Okay. So when was your first time in trouble? Let's start there. Like, when can you remember first getting into trouble?
So it would have been right around that same time where, I'm stuck in Oregon City and we're like, this is on kid status, burning down forests and crazy. Not specifically on purpose, but like we don't, you know, when you're making gasoline bombs in a park at, you know, 2 in the morning when your mom's still Hank Williams in it up with the babysitter family, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, we're doing wild shit as fourth and fifth graders or fourth graders. And then, when my dad died, we had to go. So we moved up here, but, right into the same notion. But then when it came to young teenage years, we're trying to be tough and all this other stupid hanging around the goofiest that you think are tough and that whole thing. Complete waste of time.
Looking back, you say that, but at that moment, like, so you're a teenager now. You're a teenager. You're living in
Hmm.
Clark County,
Yeah.
and now you're hanging out with the perceived tough guy crowd.
Not at all. Not at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm nobody. I'm a square from nowhere. That's exactly my motto to everything. But scenarios that have happened involved with whoever, I deal with things a certain way. And it's happened to me a couple times. If you have no respect for life, it's real easy to, you
Take it.
know, to pop off. And I've never taken any lives. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's real easy to pop off and, get insane.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I was locked up with that caught a body over robbing a store. They didn't go in there
Right.
they just shot the clerk and he died, over some
Right.
Levi pants.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And I thank God that nobody died in either of the scenarios. But looking back, now sitting in uh kid penitentiary for a 2-year prison sentence, and I just put a sawed-off shotgun in a boy's mouth in his parents' front door over $20 in weed. You're not thinking right.
Okay, so what age was that? Did that happen? So this is leading up to where I actually met you, but
Yeah, this is before you met me. This is when I was your age when I met you.
I'm 14, 15 years old.
Yeah, I turned 15 in the lockout time when you're supposed to do 24 hours lockdown in the juvenile uh, for a second degree assault for putting a loaded weapon in the person's face in their front porch as a
Oh,
kid.
bucks.
As a kid for $20 a week.
Oh, bro.
And I'm not a gang member. I'm none of those things. But
Well,
that's what happened.
I guess you don't necessarily have to be a gang member to really flex on somebody.
Not at all. Oh, no.
Okay. So, and then you went to juvenile prison. So there's a difference. Now let me ask you a quick question. Was Mr. A teacher way back in the Clark County juvenile when you were there? There were so many guys like Big Bill, Little Bill that had been working there for you. I don't know if they were there when you were there, but that old The old county juvenile was so depressing, and there was like so much lockup time. I remember
Yeah,
so much, and they had that speaker that would just play Z100 all day long. And I'm like slapping toilet paper up there to try to mute it. Like every
yeah.
time, I swear on everything, whenever I hear songs from the 90s that
Uh-huh.
played on Z100, depression.
Uh-huh.
I don't
Yeah.
have good memories at all. I'm just thinking, I was like, that place sucked. Okay, so you went from there, and you would have to be there to know that, folks.
Yeah, exactly. And it was not Brian McKnight. Oh man.
Yeah. So we
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, no, trust me. There's several ones that I'm just like, as soon as I hear it, I change this.
Yeah. What's the Michael Jackson, the song with the whale? And hit me with the argument song. Free Willy. Free Willy song. Dang.
Not the Free Willy. But so Dan, so this case, right? And you go
Yeah.
out for 2 years. Back in the day, they were sentencing guys on weeks, right? Is that were that was that still the same? Where did you go?
I went to obviously the county, but then Naysale Youth Camp.
Oh, I've been there. Is that where you spent all your time?
I was there for a year. Then I went to not Wenatchee. Uh, what's the treatment program out there? Treatment program. Owensburg.
Okay.
Last little punch of my sentence, I had to do a 30-day inpatient in Ellensburg. And I'm 15, 16 now.
So
Did that.
yeah. Okay. So you're getting out at like 16 or 17 years old. Does that sound about right?
I came home when I was the beginning of the ninth grade.
Oh, okay.
I was home for 2 months and then I ended up going back for another year for another gun charge.
Okay. So someone liked guns and had access to guns.
Yeah, I steal that.
Okay, so you were okay, and that's how I get a lot of my when I was a kid, like burglaries. That's the easiest
Mhm.
way to get the gun, right? So,
Bad time. Bad.
oh yeah, terrible ideas, dude. So you got another gun case, and then you went back to juvenile. Where did you go the second time? You got Nacelle, Maple Lane, Green Hill. What's the other?
No, no, let me hear about this again. I'm getting my timelines all up. Scratch this.
It happens. We can edit all that. So
Yeah, yeah. I was only out for 2 months and then I had to go back. I don't remember. Anyways,
all good.
so
So you went back, and then you got out again.
now this is the beginning of the 10th grade. So now I'm halfway through
High
high,
school.
high school years.
What school did you kind of go to, or what
So
back?
my mom moved from 137th up to 164th. You remember the thriftway and the driving range, the golf course on there, the trailer parks right there?
Yeah.
So we moved right next to there, the trailer parks. Nice, cool manufactured homes. And I moved in there and then I got expelled from the high school because I had another weapon.
You're probably a little much for East Vancouver, you know what I'm saying? Considering you've been to Nacelle and, you're carrying guns and that like that's you weren't gonna
This was an important thing to experience because my mom is cares nothing but for her children, right? She's straight. She's trying to hold this thing whole together for my sister and me. You know what I mean? And my sister is dealing with her things her own way, which we're 3 years apart. This is something that I am so sad about is never paying attention to any of that because you're so wrapped up in your own thing. You don't even realize the trauma that this little person who's also looking up to you is going through, looking for their own answers. So to my point, what I was saying, all three of us decided our own way to deal with that experience, and we all paid for it over a 20-year course, and still to this day, you know. But yeah, it was something serious to pull up to Mountain View High School to get checked in to the halfway through the 10th grade year and to have the principal of this school tell my mother uh, that I'm not a good fit over there, right?
yeah, nah.
And my mom was like, "What the are you talking about?" And she was like, "Well, just look at his clothes." Talking about my clothes. I got the hat to the side and all that stupid as a these kid. Come on, I didn't fit over there with the money. And my mom looked her dead in the face. She's like, "What the does his clothes have to do with his education?" So they had no choice but to. That's my new boundary, new school boundary. That's where I'm at,
Man.
where she moved. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And this security guard over there, old Steve, this followed me around 24, always wanted me to pull up my shirt, check and see if I have weapons and all this weird, making me turn my hat around, all this goofy,
Well,
you know, until eventually, beginning of the senior year, he got me out of there because he had me lift my shirt one day and I had a pocket knife. It's like, this is what I used in the welding class all day long. I'd be scrapping metal instead of just using a pen. I used my knife, making cut marks, shit like that, or whatever, whatever. I got a pocket knife. And
so you got ran up out of Mountain View.
yeah, they expelled me from the district. All what's up here, Vancouver School
Evergreen,
District or
Evergreen
no?
School District.
Evergreen School District. I had to go to Vancouver School District to the alternative program, so I ended up graduating from Pantera.
Okay, so you graduated. Um, that's like a miracle in itself, considering everything you've been up to at that point.
Yeah, it is.
I dropped out in ninth grade, and I didn't end up getting a GED until I was already an adult. You know,
I can tell you how. You want to know why? This lady named Pam, she was a teacher from Pantera Alternative Program.
shout outs to Pam.
Pam from Pantera. And Pantera got turned into a cop shop over off of Fort Plains. So they had no school no more. So they distributed their teachers wherever. So I was stuffed in a classroom at Hudson's Bay, outside, right next to the parking lot, just a raggedy classroom with a couple of us retards. We were, whatever. But this lady was very, I don't want to say creative, it's not the word, non-traditional. Like she knew the guidelines and the rules, right? Like if a person doing their a senior project is required to meet this criteria, this criteria, this criteria, in the verbiage, she was able to create that to fit my skill set. I was already framing houses start to finish by myself and one drunk who was my boss. So I could stick frame a house from top to bottom. You know what I mean? That enabled me to, because you're required to do the presentation, right? But I was terrified. I'm like, I'm not going to speak in front of this whole class. You all can get, was my thought. I'm not doing none of that. So insecure as a young man as far as being embarrassed in front of a crowd and all these things.
Yeah,
But she met me in the middle, which gave me the best grades ever because I was able to put a start to finish presentation in front of her. And guess what? The curriculum doesn't say that you're supposed to present it in front of the class. Your teacher just needs to see you present that. So I was able to go in her office and teach her how to build a house from scratch to the roof. I'm an A+ student all of a sudden. This woman wrote me for probably the first 8 years of my prison sentence.
that sounds like an incredible teacher.
Awesome lady,
You know,
completely depressed woman, but the ability to teach, to your point, what you said, we're all still people.
I always tell my kids, I was like, especially my son, like, you don't have to go get straight A's because
No,
I didn't go to high school at all. I was getting locked up in middle school, seventh,
yeah,
eighth grade, kind of like you, you know,
yeah,
and and that'll lead into how we met. But I was like, you just need try to pass you didn't pass the class. Your grades are not a reflection of your intelligence,
exactly,
right?
exactly,
And I never want my children to feel so overwhelmed like I did, and I can't keep up. I can't raise I can't because of insecurity and because of learning issues, and then quit. Just keep moving forward. But so you yeah, shout outs to Miss Pam.
this
So you
pain.
so you graduate from Pantera. Got some of that in my playlist actually, and then so what happens after that? You graduate, and then what happened? Because
So there was a handful of things naturally, all, 18, 19, 20, everyone's going through their Well, my house particularly was a friend of mine's house. It was his dad's house, but this dude was never there, and so it was kind of the spot.
take a
And
spot.
we were all at the spot. 'Cause everybody's at the spot, and everyone laid in the routines. But I mean, I was making good money doing at that time, building houses and just a young man, but we partied. But if we're tying in the old stuff that we were talking about before, there's always that underlining thing, which is
You got that wild hair in you, and you got all
yeah,
the pent up stuff.
yeah. And I'm not saying any of this to reflect in any fashion that I'm any kind of a tough guy or a badass or any of those things at all. I'm not that at all. But if you back a dude into a corner, I got all the best moves. I got the quickest ones.
So okay, let me pry it out. Like, so you're hanging out at the kick spot, you're partying, you see drugs, alcohol, something like that going on, and what leads up to? I'm guessing you caught another case at some point. What
Yeah,
leads to where I met you? And can you explain the case and everything, like the whole story? Is that you able to tell all that?
I can. Anyways, we were getting back to the story of the night. The
Yeah.
night.
So you're graduated, but you're still chilling. You're working. Are you selling? Are you just using? Are you, what are we?
No, I sell weed. I never put no dope. I missed the whole dope game.
Oh, lucky.
I got
We're all lucky.
hey.
We're all very fortunate that DC missed that era.
Oh, I would have died. I really would have died, or I would have been the best at it. There's only two ways.
So you're just partying, chilling.
Partying, regular. We're all a bunch of kids, 19, 20-year olds,
Mhm.
Friday night. But prior to that, I would say it was a weird couple days of death, honestly. To put it into perspective with my own history, my own thoughts, state of mind with a young man just not giving that whole thing. And then uh, we had our own little pets at the house there. We all had cats and and I had this little kitten. This is tiny little kitten. It's like my new friend. And the mother got chopped up in the fan belt of one of my friends who pulled up.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Like now I got to kill this animal or whatever. We're not doing doctor visits for a stray cat type scenario. And that kind of was weird. It's like I tried to do some like you see on TV, but when you're a teenager, you're like, that don't work. You know what I mean? You're not just like, "Ugh," you know. So you got this little kitten trying to do some and this cat's like, "Meow." I'm like, oh, okay, nope, that ain't working. So I went inside and got the strappy and popped this cat off. And this is in the middle of a whole, regular Wednesday night at 20 over here. Everyone's surrounding me. So it's just like, us, it affected.
So explain to me. So you would just, after doing several times in juvenile for firearms and using them, you get another one. So you just have these. You just what you. Where do you get these from? Residential burglaries or?
No, no. Everybody's got their ways, man.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to leave that one alone.
So you put the cat out of his misery. You're in a
Mhm.
house full of bunch of dudes, and
Yeah,
then
it's just a weird thing. Ended up getting extra saucy because, when you're an emotional year old, you're like, you know, so I'm getting hammered. And I ended up like clear across town because a friend of ours died over there at Ward Road. You remember Tony and Ann Ponsavat?
I know where Ward Road is.
So she died, and it was just all a creepy thing. So when you're a teenager, you're pissing in your beer, all that thing. All of a sudden, it's 6 a.m. I'm like, oh, it's time to go. So I drove to my job site, which was up here on 164th. This is at the lower side of where Holly Hills Estates and heading up towards Prune Hill. This is all the new developments that were going on. I built a whole street over there. I pulled up to the job site and went to sleep. I wake up, my boss is banging on the window. Now, this is Friday morning. So he's like, what's going on, man? He's from the South. He's like, I'm up. That happened. All kinds of bad stuff. Gave him a little rundown. I was like, man, you need to go home. Gives me my check. I go home. And by that evening, my homie, Shorty, had gotten out a day or two before that. And then it just became all bad. So in that night, he's home. Now we got, I'm sure you can relate. The clique of females and the clique of dudes, and then the clique across town.
Hey, go get the food, guys. Sorry. So you have to click a dudes.
Everybody has their little group
Hurry
of
up.
friends over here, group of friends over there, and the females that bounce back and forth like a bunch of hoes.
The groupies.
Yeah. So this is one that came back over to cause problems with her boyfriend. He ended up pushing her around all this shit. And then we took off chasing these bitches down the street. That's how this scenario happened. Literally following them in the car as they took off blocks away. And if you fast forward an hour from that time, at this time it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
So what set it off was some guy was roughing up some girl.
Yeah, my boy pushed a girl. Well, if you could guess how it would happen, it would be a stupid female slapping somebody and then she gets tipped over. That'd be safe to say.
Okay.
Put it in that perspective. It's not just a dude smacking a girl around.
Okay, got it.
Uh-huh.
So he takes off, you take off. Thank you, babe. You guys are following some car of girls down the road, or what?
No,
You
they took off walking from the
walking?
house,
Okay.
from the spot. So apparently, I'm the retard designated driver, and who's completely blasted. And this is close to 4 in the morning. I guess we decided we're going to go try to scoop him back up. And in that process, homie jumps out. He's arguing with this girl for several blocks. This other girl is out screaming and screaming at me. So I take off. I'll leave them all.
Yeah, screw this. I'm
Yeah,
out
I
of
don't. I smashed my car into the side of the curb, put my rims up and all this.
here.
Yeah. So I stopped about 3, 4 blocks from our house, and then I'm not there anymore. Blackout, whatever. I come to with whatever's happening in the moment, and I've got this different female sitting on my lap, kissing on me in the driver's seat with the door open. She jumps out. 2 cars pull up with a bunch of dudes, and now it's on. They're like, "Where's Shorty?" Blah 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 blah. I'm like, "You blah blah blah." I'm reaching in the glove box or whatever and get a hold of. Dude cracks me,
Oh,
sets
he
me in
hit
my
you.
seat. Yeah, oh, yeah, he sets me in the seat. They're all huddled around my door and they're, "We see Shorty, he's dead." I'm like, "Okay." Brah. Close the door, get to ripping, smash back to my house. Had enough time to grab the machine gun. As soon as I came, huh?
Machine gun. What type of gun was it?
That's an AK, SKS to be exact.
Legendary story in the neighborhood.
So, so you
Yeah,
got the SKS.
I grabbed the
I have
SKS.
seen before. I've seen one of them. Okay, and then you
It's
go
the
look
same.
for these guys.
What's up?
You go grab an SK and you go look for these guys.
No, by the time I had went into the house, grabbed my strap, came out, they were already coming down the block,
Mhm.
and they're about 200 feet up the street. As soon as they turned the corner, I just lit into them.
Whoa.
Yeah, I lit them up. I put 30 rounds through those cars, and then I put a new clip in and started reloading the old one. And but I was just looking up the street. All the doors were open. You know what I mean? There was like no movement. Immediately is when my brain came back, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I'm, I'm done." So
You were blackout drunk when that happened?
not at that moment. I was completely sober. So
It sounds like you just had, yeah, like you had a switch. And if somebody, I can relate to that a little bit. And
you
I've
know
had
what it is.
a similar scenario like that happen. Like I said, this is not about me,
You
but,
know what it is.
but
You know what it
so
is.
as soon as something, when you're a young man, just, you can't handle any type of disrespect at all. So you lit into their car with 30 rounds. All the doors are open. Did they like take off running or?
I didn't see. I didn't even know till 2 weeks later that I didn't even kill anybody. I was so thankful.
Yeah.
Facts.
Were
So
you
thankful.
were you free for 2 weeks? How long were you on the run? Did you go on the run? Like what happened after that?
So after that happened, like I said, when I kind of came to my senses, I'm like, all right, I'm already over here ramboing it up, loading another magazine, and like nobody's doing nothing.
They're not
So
even shooting back.
yeah, yeah, there's nothing happening. So I went in the house, and here is my roommate's dad. So it was his house, obviously. We're 20 years old. He's standing in the living room, and this is one of the most random times on a Friday night that he had come home in the time that I was gone and cleared the whole house out. It was like, flies getting off a turd. Fucking party's over. There was 30 there. Everybody's gone. So dad was home at this moment. I had no clue. So if all this going down, my roommate's dad was home at the moment. I came into the living room and I was like, "Well, guys, I'm done. Anybody got a cigarette?" And Bob was his name. This is my friend's dad. He's like, "Sure, sure, sure." But they're all looking at me like, "What the?
Yeah, you just if 30 shots must have been really loud, man.
Oh yeah, it's Iraq going down."
And this is in the 90s, right?
Yeah, 98. So, and this is right down the street from a couple friends, Anyways, the time it took me to get that cigarette and go out front, smoke it, come back and get another cigarette. And now everyone's kind of trying to talk and they're like, "What happened?" I don't know, but I'm gone forever now. I went back outside and SWAT team was everywhere.
They came quick, huh?
Ev- Oh, yeah. I didn't see nobody though. Shout out to Vancouver Police Department.
What's the ad?
I didn't see nothing. All I saw was red lights hitting me, and I kept thinking that I was dipping cigarette ashes on myself with my cigarette. And they're like, "Get on the ground." I'm like, okay, laid on the ground. They took everybody to jail, and that was all attempted murder. I had 160 years is what I faced originally. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
As someone who's done time, like that would hit as soon as I got that paperwork.
yeah. And to have the police not even saying nothing to me is what fucked me up the worst because I was like, did I kill everybody? I didn't know. They know nothing.
So I think this is where our paths cross while you're fighting this case. And so for our viewing audience, when I was now how old are you?
I'm 48.
48. I'm 42. So you're, you know, I'm 15 years old and you're like 19 or 20 at the time, right?
I would have been 20. Yeah. I think I
20.
turned 21.
So while you were fighting this case, I was a juvenile offender and I started doing time in 98 is when I started doing juvenile time and getting in trouble. And well, my trouble started before then. Anyways, my PO at the time, her name was Rosie. I forgot her last name. Then it became Troy. They were like, hey, you need to go to this Sojourn Scared Straight program at the county jail.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think I was going to get in trouble if I didn't go or something, or they're going to violate me. I don't know exactly why I went.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I went there, the guards must have told these guys to like bang on the glass and
Yeah,
scare
that's
the
the
crap out of
thing.
us.
It was a
Because
thing. When they would send you kids through, everybody's supposed to buck up and make it look all scary
oh,
and
and
stupid.
and I was kind of scared, to be honest. I didn't show it. I just, did my mean mug and like I'm not scared, but I must have been like a $140 back then. I don't
Yeah.
know. And I'm like, and I remember the guys, they were like crazy animals to me. They're banging on the windows. I had one guy at the food slot being like, put your all to the door, put your all.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, just the craziest stuff
Terrible
they're
shit.
saying.
Yeah. So
And
ridiculous.
I was like, this is what jail's like. I was like, and naively, I thought to myself, I'm like, this is never going to be me, so I don't have anything to worry about. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I thought. But then I remember I go into this room, and there's like three guys in this room, and they're sitting like all 10 of us down in this room, and there's three guys lined up with different stories to tell us.
Yeah.
And one guy looks right at me, like directly at me, and he's like, I can tell you think you're real tough, or something like that. And like, I promise you that this life isn't worth it. And you were like, and it ended up being you. You were the
Yeah.
one that told me that.
Yeah.
You were the man.
What?
You were doing 20 years because I remember they said you were about to go up and you had gotten 20 years or something. So shaving down from 160 down to 20 must have seemed like a good deal. But
Yeah.
you
I took
know,
a plea bargain for 20.
yeah.
That's terrible.
But I just remember you talking directly to me when I was 15 years old. And I never thought that I would ever go to prison, go to adult jail. I don't know what, I wasn't making a plan at all. But
Yeah.
a couple of the other guys told their stories and then we went home. Well, I continued to reoffend. And so, my troubles had just begun
Mm-hmm.
as you're headed up to do 20 years. So
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
tell me what was prison like? Like when you first got there, like what was that like? Where did you go?
Well, first, as everybody knows, we got receiving here. So you spend a couple weeks, months, whatever it is, depending on what's what, with all the retards up in receiving in Shelton, Washington.
Oh yeah.
You get met with the best of everything.
You go to lower R units or
I don't even remember, dude, what was what.
okay.
I'm a class A violent offender, so I don't recall where I was at, but I'm assuming I know I was in the orange jumpsuits. That's what I know.
Well, was it all bars
No.
or was it sliding doors?
Yeah, we're locked in.
Were they sliding bar doors like 8-wing or were they like metal doors that closed?
Metal doors that close.
So you were in the upper R units.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is I don't know in your time what the difference would have been, but the R units are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know if there's any more now, but the upper R units have a different yard
Yeah, yeah.
than the lower R units.
Yeah, no, we were by ourselves.
Sorry, I'm hungry.
Yeah, no, it was Confusing. I would say that'd be the best example of what that is. It's confusing because there's a lot of shit going on. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're dealing with the tragedy or whatever. You got no friends unless you're just a career motherfucking sorry bastard, or you're a gangster and you got all your homies there, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or you got guys like me who's just a square from nowhere who did some gangster shit, and you just there. You're like, here we go.
Kind of an anomaly, to be honest.
For real.
Kind of.
1,000%. That's a best example of what you could call my whole experience because I stayed me the whole motherfucking time.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
hate that and people love that, but them guys or anybody else. And guess what? Like I always held to, you could beat my ass 1,000 times that you ain't changing my mind, bitch. I'm me. That's the what I've always said in my mind. That's what I stuck to. It's what it is.
Well, I
That
think that,
means I'm intelligent enough to navigate my own path, but smart enough to not step on no toes for the people who are in charge.
yeah, you don't want to create any unnecessary waves, but
Yeah, no, I'm not. Don't with nobody.
well, we've talked about this before because I obviously, as I will reveal later. So you went after classification, you go to Walla Walla,
Yep, close custody.
close custody, place where dreams come true. And what's impressive to me is that you didn't go get clicked up right away because a lot of, especially young guys, are very impressionable. I was impressionable and I had a lot to prove. And I was very misguided and thought some really messed up stuff myself.
I can tell you why. I can tell you exactly why. Because in the county jail, here's what you have, right? You got a bunch of dudes that everybody, we're speaking specifically about white boys, right? You got a bunch of dudes who might be OG, they might be this, they might be that, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they might be just nothing but ex dope fiends, right? Who gained 50 pounds because they've been hitting the pile and they got a bunch of great ideas. Get the away from me. You know what I mean? These are the same dudes that are telling you in the county jail, like, oh, you ain't got to worry about nothing, young wood. Just come on up, stick with your own kind, blah, blah, blah. And somebody will put you under their wing and you're good. That don't happen. It's the same slimy crackheads that are a year and a half, 2 years into being sober and been jacking more weights. And now they got a bunch of friends, some of them. I'm not saying everybody because one of my best friends is an Aryan Brotherhood. He ain't been able to figure this thing out from top to bottom, but he's home now after 4 different times. I don't give two fucks about none of that. He's one of the smartest people I know.
Mm.
And none of that shit applies to his life now. Can't say any names with those things, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because, yeah.
But once I hit that yard, it was exactly that. It's like, okay, yeah, there's a bunch of OGs in here, but they don't give two fucks about this new kid. And if you do have interest in this new kid, why?
Well,
I'm not stupid.
they want to get you to do what, as somebody who has joined a security threat group,
You know what it is.
it's just
You
a
gotta
bunch of
put in work.
frenemies, and
Yeah,
you
you gotta put
gotta.
in work.
It's just so much stress. It's so much BS and so much politics. You know better than anyone else. That was my experience at Walla Walla, and I would never. That was the dumbest decision of my life, and I would never ever do that ever again.
Yeah.
But you were smart to get that. See, I figured that my last time where I started like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
You just went in off the rip and you saved yourself. I don't know how much trouble you saved yourself by doing that. That is
Well, I never would have came home, and this is the reason. My reason is like I don't have a leg to stand on with anything that's going on in there, or with the white boys, or with the blacks, or with the Mexicans, or with anybody. What matters is I got 2 strikes, and if I go perform a task for any of you folks, I'm gonna make it the worst task, and I'm never going home. That's it.
yeah, dude. I've met so many people that are struck out in there, and guys that like maybe their last one wasn't even that serious. Like the last
Yes.
strike, both it's like, but you take these plea bargains when you're a kid, or you try to get some easy time off a strikeable offense. There's a lot of people that do that, not knowing what they're gonna. So that's smart, dude.
You're
But
booked. I
you,
just had this conversation 2 days ago with a couple of my buddies out here because every time if we decide to go have some drinks, these two don't have an understanding of the consequences to their actions. And so they say whatever falls out of their mouth. I'm like, guess what? You know who has to deal with that? I do. And if I deal with it, I'm gone forever. So you got to get the fuck away from me. I need my 50 feet.
oh yeah, you gotta be selfish with your freedom, you know.
Stay in trouble.
Yeah. I have a huge responsibility over here with 6 people that I'm responsible for. So,
100%, dude. I can relate to that. Going back into prison, your time, did you just get involved in your own discipline, in your own little program as you were there in close custody? And how long were you in close custody for?
I only got in one fight, lost a couple points, got up a couple points, so I was out of there in a year and a half. As soon as
Oh,
I
wow.
was able to make my points, and also I had the benefit of the newest facility here in Washington, which is a non-smoking facility. That was Stafford Creek.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
This is
did
in
time there.
Aberdeen. Brand new facility, wasn't even built yet, and nobody wanted to go there. Well, I wanted to quit smoking. It's like I don't want nothing to do with this. Smoking top cigarettes for 20 years. Like I got to go there. So I volunteered. So I kind of got fast tracked to that place.
Would you go to G Unit?
Yeah, I was in G Unit before it was even G Unit. There was only everything was in G Unit.
Yeah, I did
G
19
Unit
months in
was
G Unit.
G Unit was the library, the hospital, the yard, the cells. It was everything. You go upstairs if you want to go to the library. That's what it was. There was probably 20 of us. Yeah, I was at the beginning. I was chain. I think I was chain number 3 there. I was the third chain to that place.
Okay.
So
See, I didn't even know that.
yeah, I opened that place.
I did, I'd always hear stories about like people that came there, and opened that place up. So you were one of the pioneers of Stafford Creek.
Yeah, it was wide open. It was
I think I was
crazy
there like
too.
maybe 2004 or 2003,
Yeah,
maybe.
that was later. This was 2000. This was 2001,
I
maybe
think I was
2000.
between 2004 or 5 actually. It was 2004 or 5 when I was there. I
Yeah,
remember G Unit. I
yeah.
remember being closer to home, it's a lot closer than Walla Walla is.
Yeah, that's why I volunteered. I needed to get on this side of the mountains.
So, and they had a lot of programs and just like a lot more movement, like
Yeah.
going to the gym, going to the yard, going.
I was there for 7 years, and that's what I did.
Okay, so
I
that.
obviously being a new guy, I mean, the newest facility and the first person in there, I had grabs at the best shit. So yeah,
So 7 years and you're able to, obviously anyone getting away from Walla Walla is a great thing. Uh, so you're able to do, better time, more structure without trouble, too much trouble to be expected. So 7 years. So
it was
basically,
it was a weird thing because that place was so brand new. It had so many loopholes. So anybody who had been doing time for a long time, they were like exploiting all the shit.
yeah,
And what they created with the non-smoking facility was dudes weren't even
that
chasing
store.
heroin no more. They were paying the same price for tobacco. It's crazy
Yeah.
as fuck.
Oh yeah. That was
That's
the
what it
hustle
was.
back in the day.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like the
You're
new
going
thing.
back to Shelton,
Yeah, you
people.
better huddle up.
I have a segue right there, and this is really. I don't know if you should be talking about this, but the very first time that I ever was
And
going to do that, when I found I was going to Stafford Creek, everybody was selling me on the idea of basically hustling tobacco and then
yeah,
keistering it. And I'm like, I was considered doing it, and I had made the glove, I made all the stuff to pack the tobacco because one of my cellies had done it, and then the kid got his bag down the cell block. We're going to Stafford Creek, so he ends up packing it up,
hmm
Eastern it, and then for some oh, no, he didn't get his bag. He thought he was gonna get his bag. So he ended up keystering
all
it,
right, Marines.
didn't get his bag. So he ended up doing all that work for nothing. And I just thought to myself, I was like, you know what? I don't care about having a lot of store when I get there. I'm not gonna go, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah,
But
that was a
there were guys, they were so hip to it, dude, that guys are coming off the chain. If they couldn't match their store orders to the commissary that they had in their cells, if they were like too brand new, because guys were greedy. They'd get in there their first week and then they'd sell a bunch of tobacco and get a bunch of store, and then they'd get their, the cops would raid their house and like, how do you have all this store? So they started figuring things out, I think, at that point, the hustle at least
yeah. It's
in
obvious.
2005.
Rich man, poor man. What the hell?
But yeah, Savard, I had some memories there. So you're there for 7 years. So how much time has gone by? So you've been a year and a half, 2 years in close custody, now 7 years in.
So when I hit Walla Walla, I had two, 2.5 years in, I guess. No, when I hit Stafford, I was 2.5, 3 years in. Yeah. I think I
What's
got
that?
there '02, '02 to '07. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
I went in '98.
7. So at the 7th year or whatever in Stafford Creek,
Mhm.
what's happening? You think you got another 10 years to do? What's happening at this point?
And there was a bunch. We have to rewind.
Okay.
We got to rewind. I'm doing my best to rip through this because I'm obviously a little blasted. So I hope I don't sound like a complete retard.
No, you actually handle it pretty well, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, oh yeah, you're looking for the juice. Look at this guy. Yeah.
You're not blasted.
So 2000, when I got there, it's brand new. So there was no programs. There was no school program. There was no education. The prison wasn't established yet, actually, at
Okay.
all. We had barely just started getting yard because they had barely got the fence up type of
Okay, so just brand new units, but not a lot of
brand new. And then half the population disappeared because the cops, these are guys from Aberdeen. They ain't never been cops. They ain't never done it. So they're like Milltown people.
yeah.
And everybody took full advantage of that. You had female cops ending up in the broom closet, dudes getting dumped over for weed money, bringing in. It was crazy. It was a lot. And great at the same time. I mean, if you had to do your time, you might as well watch it like that. Once they started getting everything established, I was full on, already dialed in. It had already been, I would say it takes about 5 years before you start getting the grasp of this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. Quit sitting up in your cell watching motherfucking Cheers. Quit crying like a bitch and go program. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Hit the track, hit the weights, go to school, get a real job. As you know, the penitentiary has real jobs. You can get a job that will teach you something and also has curriculum specific things that apply to when you get home. Every penitentiary still needs an HVAC guy, and an HVAC journeyman can only have so many apprentices, and that's what people inside were. And you still have to register your hours with the state of Washington. So you have a legitimate thing that you can take home. So my thing was back then, I'm going to take this building maintenance class. This dude named Doug Carley was teaching a building maintenance class through Grace Harbor College. He's teaching the maintenance class out there you got to get past 9 Gate. You know what I mean?
To the where
You,
the
all the industries are. Yeah, you have to be cleared to go past that gate. So I got cleared, and my whole goal was,
that's
as
over
you
by the hole,
know,
right?
huh?
Is that over by the hole by IMU?
It's heading towards
The entrance?
H2 in the yard where the gym's at.
Okay.
Just
Yep.
past the gym is the gate to go out to industries.
Oh, okay. Yep. The opposite way.
Yeah, the opposite. Out once you get past those gates, and you can go do all the jobs, welding. They had a couple different jobs out there: HVAC, electrical. You could do all the plumbing, all the facility maintenance. And the building maintenance program was you couldn't get college degrees anymore through prison, but you could get certifications. They stopped letting anybody get a bachelor's degree because people were pissed in the community that a person could just get a degree in prison. They call it free, which, as we know, that ain't free. You still got to work for that, whether you're locked up or whether somebody's paying for it. Come on.
I got a free certifications in there. I spent like a year and a half in the computer lab. It was dope.
Exactly. So, same thing. All the programs apply, but they're not accredited, whatever
Some
they're
of them you
saying.
can take as you can take some of those credits and take them into a college. Not
Yeah.
all of them though, right? But
Right. So what I started navigating myself towards was all the things that I know would apply out here: electrical, plumbing, any carpentry, wastewater. I'm a certified wastewater operator for the state of Washington, but I can't get into any of these facilities because of the nepotism and other. I don't know nobody.
you know David Jones?
Yeah, he's
Dang,
gone
that fool
again.
caught another case.
I know. He was the OG in this. Him and Eric are the ones that tipped me to that. But when I came home, I had the badass resume, all the nowhere.
David's called me several times, by the way. So just recently talked to him up there. But
That's a
yes,
podcast to have.
yeah, I would. He's been through a lot too.
I know. Very similar scenario with him and my buddy Micah losing a
Shout out David
child.
Jones.
Yes,
Come home
sir.
safe, all right.
David Jones and Micah Pelton.
So I mean you're doing like a lot of guys that have like just cemented themselves in. They're doing time, real time. You're on a program, you're structured, you're disciplined, you're doing big dog stuff in industries and trying to build a future and stay busy and productive at this point. Probably a lot of the people who said they'd ride it out with you have already fallen off after 5 years, and the real important people have stayed.
Yeah, nobody.
Okay. So it
Just
was
just your mother.
your mother.
Really. That's what's up.
So you're doing all of this. You're probably around year 10, and
That'd be
I met
that at that point it would be year 5, year 6.
well, year 5, year 6. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I had it figured out by then. I
Okay.
started programming for
You
sure.
started program. Okay. Yeah. I did that. That was one way to stay out of trouble in Walla Walla when I hit medium yard one way that I stayed out of trouble at medium yard was to, was to either work or go to school. So a lot of the times is like if I get cell confinement. So one time I got like 90 days cell confinement for something stupid. So I was like, I'll just go to school morning, noon, and night. How about that?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I stayed out of a lot of trouble. Like homies would be popping off, like punching dudes in the yard, starting fights in the yard, and all of the stupid stuff that they were doing. Like it shielded me a couple times just by programming so much.
It's so important. I knew so there was this dude named Ron Adams that I met in the county jail. Older guy, obviously at that time he was probably my age, but back then when I'm in my 20s, he was an old guy. He was a journeyman electrician and ended up my cellmate. And after these conversations, that was what I wanted to do. My whole goal was I wanted to become an electrician apprentice, and then I wanted to go to school and be an electrical engineer.
How long did you stay at that custody level? And then when did you end up leaving there?
Stafford, 7 years. So this is an important period. That's what I wanted to establish. Because in that moment, it was like, okay, brand new facility. So everything weird. Everybody's spread out. So it's a little different than closed custody because you're tight wrapped up in there. You know what I mean? You got 17 cells, 4-man stack. It's all kinds of shit could pop off on one strip times 6. And then you got to go to the corridor. So it's like, wow, who the getting off right now? You can smell it. You can smell that shit. So
And I never felt completely safe in Walla Walla. So high level of
nobody does.
anxiety.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
Yeah. Well, I got comfortable after that first. Once I was able, it was like 4 months when I was in the kitchen, then I was able to move to like the working wing. So everybody went to bed at a regular time and cared about their cell, and it was like the working unit. So it was quiet. It took me like 4 months. As soon as I could get the fuck out of that kitchen, that's where I was at. And I got in trouble for that too. I forgot about that part. So my homie Bill was the pipe holder for the natives. Yeah. You can't have a white boy moving in your cell. He had to take it to the table and they approved it.
Is that 1% Cherokee blood you got or something?
Him, he's the Cherokee. He's a pipe holder. So he's an elder all of a sudden. This is a testament to how goofy it is because this is in there for killing him right next to me. We're kids. And we're all kids. Get the out of here. You put him in charge of something? Whatever, man. You guys are goofy. Goofy.
Dude.
So then it's like, run up or shut up, you weirdos. I never said that because I didn't want to get killed, obviously. In my mind, I'm like, who is this? This is like all the goofiest in school that were just dildos. Now they're in charge of everything in the penitentiary. This is so stupid.
They put a murderer in charge?
Yeah. No, we put a murderer in charge. We put all of ourselves in charge, but it's all the fucking stupidest, loudest, dumbest that run shit. It's hilarious. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
There might be one OG in every crew, and the rest of them is like, what the?
I just remember, at least in who I chose to run around with, so stupid. Like there just being like 60 homies on one yard, 80 homies on another yard, especially in Walla Walla. So it was just like, it was a pecking order, and you're cool with some of them and you're enemies with everybody else, and they're all looking for the weakest link. And
yeah, that's not worth nothing.
It's just so retarded. And I mean, we could go in for whole hours and hours about, especially.
I would like to hear that. I would like to know what the was going on as I'm sitting on the phone and watching all you over there by the pull-up bar, just holding up a whole wall ball court. What's happening?
Dude, the handball, I got good at handball, bro. Yeah. I mean, those, they're all about the politics, They're
Yeah.
militant and it's super structured and nobody's bigger than the program. And that's something that I wish I would have gotten away from off the jump or had the courage, kind of like what you had, but I didn't. And I chose to run with the group. So I kind of I'm trying to build up to the point. So you're in Stafford Creek. You've been there. You're out of Walla Walla. You've been there. This is year 7 or something like that. You were at Stafford Creek for 7 years. Now, are you going back and forth to court? You have 20 years to do. How the heck where did you go after that?
So this would have been like year 2, I think, at Stafford. We'd finally had, like, all of a sudden we have the chow hall, because back in the beginning they were moving food carts and shit into the unit in G1. So that's how fresh it was. They didn't even have the cafeteria up. Like, they had
Oh,
nothing.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, everything was in the unit. If you were on lockdown, you had your hour out. They put you in a different cell, in the big handicap cell, with a handball on the phone.
Wow.
That was your hour out. There was no yard. There was like it took like a week or 2.
It's like all dirt out there.
Mhm.
I remember the soccer field
Hey, puppy.
was like all dirt and rocks. Like there was
Yeah.
no grass on the soccer field.
Yeah.
And the weight pile was there when I was there, but
Where'd I go? Where'd I cut sideways there? I was leading somewhere. Fuck.
well, I'm basically just trying to tell our viewers, like, I ended up
Come here,
seeing
puppy.
you again 10 years later after the first time I saw you. And so I'm trying to figure out where at year 10, because it was about 10 years later when I'm like, got my points after I left Walla Walla and I went to work camp, Larch Mountain, and I'm walking the yard and I see,
Oh, it was the lurch.
and I'm like, that guy looks so familiar. How does he look so familiar? And then I'm like, that's that dude that I saw at the Sojourn Tour Scared Straight program. I'm like, hey, do you remember me? And I think you remembered me, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how are you here? I thought you were doing 20 years. So how did you meet me on a camp yard 10 years later?
So this would be probably, it had been 4 years in total. So 2 years in the joint, 2.5 years in the joint. And at that time, like I was saying, at Stafford, they had just opened up stuff. So now all of a sudden we had a gym. We had a weight room.
Yep.
We got the gym.
Yep.
The little cop station in the middle there. And then we got the equipment room. We're all the OGs at the place. So we got all the best jobs. So we're handing out equipment in the weight room.
Okay. Yeah.
So we get to lift weights, and then we could do fuck around in between sets. We got the basketball part, whatever. And oh, look at that. Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome. I love street talk.
And
You got a job. You're in the gym. You're handing out equipment.
so, yeah. So it had been several years in, and me and the buddies were playing cards or dominoes or whatever, handing out equipment and bullshitting. Well, one of my homies, Spank, this dude, he's a Kirby Blocks from Portland, and just became, yeah, coolest you ever met, dude. And he started spending all his time in the law library this whole time. He became a lawyer, basically. So he pulled up on me and gave me a brief to send for an appeal. And at that time, I'd already tried it like 3 times, which is the most depressing thing in the world, waiting a year for someone to say, unfortunately, generic ass letter saying, no, you don't qualify. Well, he found a loophole in how they up. So it was a juvenile clause, a juvenile washout clause, which changed the point system for the state of Washington.
Yeah, and that's a big deal.
It was a huge deal. They had to give me 6 years back. But even so, he gave this to me, and I was like, I'm not turning this in. I can't afford. I know when my release date is. I know when I'm going home. Leave me alone with that. You know what I mean? Once you get comfortable in that, you're like, stop.
You've accepted your fate.
Yeah. This is my house. That's the So, but I sent it to my attorney, the guy that represented me original, and he completely recreated the packet, everything, sent it in, put his own stamp on it, and represented me in court for free. And I won.
Wow.
All because of my homie. Yeah. The prosecuting attorney was so pissed, dude. She set this up, that's what she won her flowers on, this big scary case. So
So you got 6 years back off your of a 20-year sentence.
yeah.
So you got 14 years to do, and you've already done basically almost 10.
At that time it was 5.
5.
So I had like 9 years left. And when that happened, I was so happy.
Okay, so you knew when you had 9 years left. Okay, so you knew in advance before I ever met you. So Stafford is when you got your time back?
No, yeah, but mid Stafford.
Mid Stafford, okay. And so when you came to camp, you had like what, 4 years left or something like that?
I left Stafford in like end of 2007. In 2007 to 11 is when I was at Larch.
Okay.
7 to 11.
So you released in 2011.
You're the best. You're the best, Mom. That's great.
I
He
just
took my neighbor able to street tacos, handmade cookies.
The best.
The best.
I might need a dessert.
Yeah.
But you know what? Safeway oatmeal.
Are you here in town? You do coffee in the morning or anything like that?
I don't drink coffee, but I mean,
How about, do you like donuts?
yeah. Yeah, I like everything, man.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah. So I don't want to make this a lackluster ending here or anything like that, but
Man, we haven't even got halfway through the story. Not even a quarter. I just been the whole thing up.
you're fine,
That's
dude.
fine now.
I mean, we have a good
Yeah,
data
this is
point.
a rough draft. That means the next one's going to be good. So, yeah, and especially because you keep eating the whole motherfucking time. Exactly. How am I supposed to concentrate when you're just eating the whole time? That's the second time in an hour. I'm over here saucing up on the beers with my cigarette smoke, and you're smashing on some grub.
Good.
We're like,
Hey,
"Meh." Oh yeah, and then my neighbor showed up. So I'm a
all I
complete
know is
disaster
I
for your
just smashed a
podcast.
whole Oregon burrito with 3 red sauce packets, and now I got
Oh.
some, but you know,
Oregon
gotta eat, bro.
burrito.
If you could talk to a young man, or let's say you could talk to right now, and you were talking to a 15-year-old kid that's coming through a Scared Straight or Sojourn tour, or if you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell that wayward soul if you could go back and talk to somebody, or right now?
This is why I told you when we talked, as far as the reasons of me not being ready to do this. I'll tell you the reason, because you don't even have to be told to answer those kind of questions because you see it all around you. You know what I mean? When it comes to like a 15-year-old kid or younger, it's all around me. And the most terrifying part about it is when you're approaching what you would say to them, it's hard not to tear up because you know what you want to say and you're like, ah, man, I don't want to this up, but I've already done this 20 times and I know you're not going to get it because you're stupid and you're 12, but I can't help but do this. And as soon as you open your mouth, I get sucked up immediately. So this is what I was getting at, as far as preparedness. You can't,
Let her
it's
rip.
hard. Huh?
Let her rip.
I am right now, but I'm giving you the reasons why that it's not really relevant because I have so much more to say about every single thing we talked about. But the way I'm going to get it out like this ain't going to work.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
But we're
I
doing
mean,
it.
if going back and looking back, obviously you paid a big price for
Mhm.
the decisions that you made on that night where you bucked at those guys. What are some of the things that you learned about your experience? Like what are your takeaways from all that time in prison and a huge miracle of getting time back? And, what's your one main takeaway from this whole experience? Because this is like I said earlier, like you're a one of one. Your experience is your own and it's unique to anybody else's. What is your main takeaway that you've gained from that?
Again, that's a huge ass question.
It was a long one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 800 different things right there.
Well, because you got out, you have a family, you're married, you own a house, you own a business. I mean, these are all things that like a lot of guys when they get out, they don't do that. They just start screwing their life up again. So was there like some type of a moment in prison where you had like an aha moment or maturity, or what would you say, any turning points that you experienced?
Big ones. Yeah. Again, I hate saying this because it just sounds soft as fuck, but it is. It's soft as fuck. I'm telling you.
Nah, dude.
In the chest, it's like there'll be a moment when you're like, oh, and as a young boy, like a 20-year-old boy, he ain't got no brain. There's no sense. I'm looking at my kids right now. Like, they're all pretending to be 20, but even when they're 20, they're still going to be stupid as fuck. And I thought I was so smart. Like, I'm dialed in. I got a job. I'm making, back in 1998, I'm making $12 an hour cash.
That's way good.
I was balling,
That was way good back then. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm building houses. I'm got cool spot, but got some extras in the brain too, obviously. But
Well,
when you get in there, that was the first one that smacked me in the gut. It was like, okay. And for whatever reason, I guess it's obvious and probably common with our county jail or probably prison as well. When that thing happens, people notice it because you might not notice it when you're just walking back from the courtroom after getting your ass whooped. You know what I mean? But they're prepared for that. That's their system. So they had like moved my cellmate out, which, how is that a good idea to put a crazy person who's sad in a box by himself? But I was very thankful because, like, okay, man, that's just me. Now I can deal with this. And that's what me up in that moment was I realized thinking you're pretty smart. You're a 20-year-old man. You're sharp. And you're about to do as long as every piece of information that you have about what you're about, who you are, everything you know is locked in you. Now you're going to go live in an environment for the same amount of time you've been alive in a place you don't know nothing about. I was like, oh man, okay. So that was a strange deal, but that was the first year.
Yeah, that's
And
heavy,
then,
dude. At 20 years
yeah,
old, you got 20 years to do. That's like you're basically you could view that as your life being done. Like that's a life sentence.
yeah.
But you're like,
Because if you
what if
put
I
it
get out at
together,
40?
yeah, you're 20 years old. You're like, oh man, I'm me. I'm slip slap little rap, super pimping. Okay, hey, you're 20. You just figured out how to buy insurance. You know,
Yeah, I look back at when I was that age, same thing. And
Crazy.
but the success, success looks different to everyone.
Exactly.
But for a guy to go through that and to get out and not go back is a big
Yeah,
deal.
it is because there's only about two of us out of the 10 I know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Couple of them blew their brains out. Couple of them went back 3, 4 times. Couple of them are dead. You know that stuff.
I
Couple
inter-
of them are still on outer space. We know those guys.
yeah, I
Call
had
me every once in a while to try to sell a razor. They got a pack of razors.
big dude. I have
Got
a
a pack
buddy of
of
mine
razors.
that I've known since I was young, and I interviewed him because he'd been to Green Hill, and he went up to Shelton and Larch, but he said, the streets don't love you, your kids do, so go home. And that kind of stuck with me, because it's so true. You have so many things to.
I watched that podcast.
You did.
Yeah, that.
You watched the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, I mean, and I love hearing the stories of other people. Like I can sit here and talk about all my war stories but when I think that, I don't have it all together, or I don't have this or don't have that, or my life story is so difficult and that's the reason why I'm not farther ahead in life. When I talk to other people, I realize like I'm just making this stuff up in my head.
Yeah,
There's a
exactly,
lot of people have gone through way harder things than I have and have
exactly.
experienced way more injustice than I have, and I've learned harder lessons than I have. But I wouldn't trade my learning experiences for somebody else's. I'm very thankful to have been able to experience that in my life and to have learned from it and not repeat it. It just took a long time for me. But
Well, that's the repeat. That's exactly right. So, gee,
we might actually need like a part two, like to go over.
yeah, there's a bunch. But one thing I wanted to add before you cut it was one of the other parts of prison that changed something, like a pivotal moment. One was from that building maintenance class. I'm out there, and it was just a teacher, and we're, just trying to get out of the cell and do some school. But I like building, so I was like, this is the best. It's a full-on wood shop, and then also you do curriculum, small tutorials on kind of all the stages of building, but nothing like in depth. And then at the end of this program, you'd have to build a set of blueprints that's scalable, put a cut list to it, and then go out in the shop and build it. It's a cool program. I'm in it. The only reason I took this program is so I could get over to the welding shop because they made $1.10 an hour instead of $55 a month. I
Wow,
was like, yeah. I'm like, I want to get over to industries and I know how to weld and I can build. Let's do this. So I, at
dollar
the end,
ten an hour. That's like over
yeah,
$100 a month.
yeah, it was, yeah, they made like $120 a month in the joint.
I've
So
never even heard of that before. You were balling in there.
no, I never took the job. So I went to the teacher, it got me a little line in with the industry boss, and he offered me a job. I'm like, sweet, because now I'm out here. That's kind of how you had to hustle your way outside of that gate, the clearance gate, and then if you could talk to people who are in the programs, you could get a job. I'm like, I got to get out here. So I took that class and it was like 6, 8 months and it was halfway through the class. Uh, I went to the teacher and said, "Hey, I appreciate this program so much, but I got to bounce. I got a job across the hall." So, and he's like, "No, don't do that." I'm like, "Man, I'm here till 2016. This is 2000, 2 or whatever. I'm going to be here for a while." And he's like, "No, no, no." I'm like, "What are you talking about? $10 an hour or 55 a month to be out here playing with power tools?" And he said, "No." He told me, he said, "I see something in you. I know that you're going to be successful." And he told me, "You might be able to make a bunch of money in here right now on our scale. Like, oh, $1.10 an hour." You're like, "Fuck yeah." He said, "But I'll teach you so much that you'll be able to make so much money after you leave." And that's what changed everything for me. So he saw something in me that I didn't even see myself. I was just like, what? Same with the computer programs that are in there, going up and learning Windows Windows 95.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you need to go." This class is like, retarded children are going to know more than me by the time I get home before I ever get home." You know what I mean? And that's the case now.
It's true.
Like,
It's true.
1,000% facts.
So they teach my whatever certifications I learned in there. I think they teach that stuff like in high school now,
Exactly.
or maybe
Still
even middle
important
school,
to know.
to be honest.
Yeah. Still important to know.
Yeah.
But to the point of this same guy. So I said the $1.10 an hour job, and I ended up being he was an instructor for Grace Harbor College who was in there teaching the program. And I became the teacher's assistant. I ran that whole show, the whole thing for 7 years.
And you got 55 a month.
55 a month, but I had a full shop to build whatever I want, learn whatever I want. And being a teacher to the basics of building, doing PowerPoint presentations, all the thing I was completely terrified of. I don't want to stand in front of anyone talking. You know what I mean? I was so scared of that shit when I was a kid. But now I'm doing it. It was like, that was the best thing for me. Crazy. But one of the biggest things that he told me was a quote. It wasn't a quote. It was just something his dad was his hero. You know what I mean? And obviously I got a dad issue, right? So he said something along the lines of just respectful man. I can't remember what it was, but what I took from it was no, he told him, be a man unto yourself. What do you think of that?
Be a man unto yourself. This could mean different things for different people. Maybe what does it mean to you?
This was huge because,
Different strokes for different folks.
yeah, absolutely. That's one part of it. The fact is, if you spend your whole life reaching for that connection because you've never had it, you know what I mean? That dad stuff, or just if you're looking at your peers or people that you look up to or anything else, and it's just for women as well, searching for confirmation that they're doing it right. You know what I mean? Man or woman. What his dad was telling him, and this is what took to heart for me, 1,000%, is like, there is no outside person that decides that. That's just me. I decide. I'm a man unto myself because I decide. It changed everything. Literally changed everything because then you're your own advocate. You go kick ass where you want to kick ass. And so that's what I did. I hit the yard every day and ran 4 miles a day, hit the gym, hit the library, hit the wood shop, built solar, and went to school all night. That's just what it was.
Sounds like superstructure for you, which is awesome.
Yeah, I require that and I lost that. Yeah. They got superpowers. Good ones and bad ones. Good and bad ones.
Well, I sure appreciate you getting on here and just being vulnerable and sharing your story. It's deep, man. And I'd like to unpack more of it with you in the future.
Yeah, we got it.
Some of the things that maybe where you can give your wisdom and your advice to people that might be ready to receive it. Because those things that you implanted in me, when I was 15 years old, I didn't know your story. I just knew you're going to go do 20 years. But you looked into my soul and you saw something in me that you had in yourself. And when I saw you 10 years later, everything came full circle for me. And by the way, I've never been back since then either. Have I been completely perfect? No, I've had a few hiccups, but I've been out for 18 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so I attribute a lot of that, me personally, I attribute it to, the structure and the focus of my life now. It's completely opposite than when I was a young man. I don't have any of the same, how I thought's different. My habits are different. You know, my circle of influence is definitely different, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for that. And I'm grateful for guys like you that have overcome the odds.
I met